The sky above Mount Olympus trembled as dark clouds gathered, swallowing the golden light of dawn. Zeus, ruler of the heavens, sat upon his throne, his grip tightening around his scepter as he felt a disturbance ripple through the divine realms. It was not the petty squabbles of men, nor the restless stirrings of titans. It was something far older, something that called to him from beyond the lands of Greece. His gaze pierced the veil of time and space, reaching across the seas, beyond the burning sands of an ancient kingdom. Egypt, a power unlike any he had encountered, pulsed from its sacred necropolis, a force wrapped in shadow and silence. Far to the south, Anubis stood at the heart of the great necropolis, his jackal eyes unblinking as he watched the eternal dance of life and death. He was the guardian of souls, the keeper of balance, the silent judge of all who dared step into the afterlife. He felt the shift before it even came, an intrusive energy pressing against the edges of his dominion. It was not the hand of an ancestor, nor the whisper of a forgotten deity. It was something raw, something foreign. In the depths of his temple, where the walls were inscribed with the secrets of the underworld, Anubis prepared. His staff, carved from the essence of the dew itself, hummed with restrained power. He had no interest in the affairs of the gods beyond his realm, yet fate had drawn an intruder to his lands. The winds of Olympus carried the scent of thunder and arrogance, and Anubis knew the heavens would soon clash with the underworld. Without warning, the sky above the Nile split open. A jagged scar of lightning tore through the clouds, illuminating the pyramids in a blinding flash. The air crackled with raw energy, and then, descending like a celestial storm, came Zeus. His form burned with the brilliance of the sun, his golden armor reflecting the fury of the tempest. The mortals fell to their knees, their prayers rising in panicked gasps as the King of Olympus set foot upon the sacred land of Egypt. Anubis did not need to step forward. The very shadows of the necropolis moved for him. He emerged from the darkness, a figure draped in eternal night, his eyes gleaming like distant stars. His presence was not one of fury but of judgment, an ancient stillness that commanded silence. The sands around him darkened as the balance of the world shifted, acknowledging the presence of two forces that had never before crossed paths. Above them, the sky roared, and beneath them, the earth whispered. The gods had come face to face, and the world held its breath. The heavens churned with unseen forces as Zeus and Anubis stood at the heart of Egypt's sacred lands. Lightning danced along the edge of Zeus' scepter, its power restless, eager to strike. The very air crackled with divine energy, but Anubis remained still, the weight of the underworld pressing against the storm. Unlike the gods of Olympus, who thrived on displays of power and conquest, Anubis understood the delicate balance of existence. Strength alone was meaningless if not wielded with wisdom. The river Nile, eternal and unyielding, bore witness to the clash of realms. Zeus raised his arm, and the storm obeyed. Winds howled across the dunes, twisting into cyclones as the air itself bent to his will. The clouds darkened further, blocking the sun, and in that moment, Olympus itself seemed to stretch across the land, imposing its dominance. But Anubis did not falter. Where Zeus was the fury of the storm, Anubis was the silence of the grave. He lifted his staff, and the world shifted. The sands ceased their restless dance. The howling winds faded into whispers, and a great stillness settled upon the land. It was not weakness. It was control, the mastery of a force older than storms. The shadows deepened, stretching unnaturally, swallowing the land in a cold embrace. The voices of the dead stirred in the distance, unseen but felt, an undeniable reminder that Zeus was not the only force capable of bending reality. The sky raged, but the underworld waited. The battle had not yet begun, but already, the land itself trembled beneath the weight of these two powers. The first strike came like the wrath of the heavens. Zeus raised his scepter, and the sky obeyed. A bolt of pure lightning, hotter than the core of the sun, tore through the heavens and crashed upon the necropolis. The explosion sent shockwaves rippling through the land, shaking the pyramids to their foundations. The mortal priests watching from the temple steps shielded their eyes, convinced that the end of days had come. But as the dust settled, Anubis remained. The strike had found its mark, yet he had not fallen. The shadows clung to him like a second skin, absorbing the divine fire, twisting it into something else, something older, something unbreakable. Where Zeus wielded the raw force of the cosmos, Anubis commanded the inevitability of death itself. He moved without sound, his form shifting between the world of the living and the unseen. One moment, he was before Zeus; the next, he was the storm's shadow, slipping through the air like mist. When he struck, it was not with the fury of a warrior, but with the weight of eternity. The sands beneath Zeus' feet cracked open, revealing an abyss that should not have existed in the mortal realm. From its depths came a force beyond light and fire, an emptiness that sought to consume, to judge, to strip all things of their arrogance. Zeus fought, his power surging in golden waves, but for the first time in eons, he knew what it meant to face something beyond his control. Anubis was not a god of war, nor was he a king seeking dominion. He was the end, the inevitable passage that no being mortal or divine could escape. The heavens roared, the underworld whispered, the world held its breath. The battle raged for what felt like an eternity, yet in the eyes of the cosmos, it was but a fleeting moment. Zeus struck with all the fury of Olympus, and Anubis countered with the silent inevitability of fate. The skies wept, the sand shuddered, and reality itself bent beneath their might. But gods did not fight for victory alone. They fought for dominion, for understanding, for the very nature of existence itself. And as the storm waned and the shadows withdrew, both Zeus and Anubis saw the truth in each other's power. Zeus, for all his might, could not silence death. And Anubis, for all his control, could not erase the will of the storm. The battle did not end in conquest, nor in surrender. It ended in balance. The storm calmed, the shadows retreated, and between them, a silent understanding passed. Zeus turned away first, the flicker of a storm still burning in his gaze. He had tested the power of the underworld and found it unyielding. Anubis watched him go, the judgment of the dead ever present in his eyes. He had faced a storm and remained untouched. The gods had clashed, but the world endured. And as the heavens cleared and the sand settled once more, a new legend was born, one of storms and shadows, of gods who met upon the sacred lands of Egypt and walked away, neither victorious nor defeated, but changed forever. And so, the balance remained. The storm had calmed, and the shadows had receded, but the land still trembled from the aftermath of their battle. The heavens bore the scars of Zeus' fury, streaks of gold and silver where lightning had split the sky. The necropolis, though ancient and unmoved by time, carried the silent whispers of the dead who had stirred as Anubis unleashed his power. Yet, despite the battle's intensity, neither god had fallen. Zeus stood atop a ruined pillar, his chest rising and falling with slow, measured breaths. His golden armor, once radiant, was now darkened by the remnants of shadow, as if the underworld had left its mark upon him. His hands clenched around his scepter, but there was no rage left in him, only contemplation. He had struck with the full might of Olympus, yet Anubis had withstood it, untouched by destruction, unmoved by the fire of gods. Anubis, too, had changed. His form, always wrapped in silence, now carried the faintest trace of something new, something not born from the underworld. The judgment of the dead had always been his purpose, but for the first time in eternity, he had judged a god, and in that judgment, he had found no victor, no vanquished, only the undeniable truth of existence. The winds whispered across the desert, carrying the scent of rain and earth. Time passed differently for gods. Moments stretched into ages, and yet in that stillness, the world itself seemed to listen. The mortals who had witnessed the battle remained hidden in their temples and villages, speaking in hushed tones of the day when the gods themselves had walked among them. Some feared the return of Zeus, believing he would unleash his wrath upon their land. Others saw Anubis in a new light, no longer just a guardian of the dead, but a force beyond reckoning, one who had stood against the mightiest of Olympus and had not bowed. Zeus cast his gaze upon the horizon. The Nile continued its eternal journey, indifferent to gods and men alike. There was something humbling in that realization. He had come seeking conquest, a display of dominance over a power that did not belong to him, yet he had found something far greater. Anubis, still as the statues that bore his likeness, turned his jackal gaze toward the heavens. The realm of Olympus was far beyond his own, a place where gods ruled with the authority of kings. But even kings must bow to the inevitability of time. Zeus, for all his might, was not beyond judgment. One day, even Olympus would fall, and when that day came, Anubis would be waiting. Without another word, Zeus lifted his scepter, and the air around him crackled with divine energy. The storm that had followed him to this land faded, the clouds dispersing as the power of Olympus withdrew. With a final glance toward Anubis, he stepped into the lightning, vanishing into the heavens. Anubis did not move. He had no need to. The land belonged to him, as did the souls that passed through it. Zeus had come to test his power, but power was fleeting. What remained was balance. What remained was judgment. As the last echoes of thunder faded into the distance, Anubis turned away, stepping into the darkness of his temple. The world would remember this battle. The gods would remember, but the sands would outlast them all. For even gods are bound by fate, and fate, like death,